Okay,
Okay. So I'll come back to the order and we're starting with report CEO 14/2026 construction management services RFP results. Julie, please.
okay, thank you, Mayor Woodbury. So the purpose of this report is to bring forward the results of the construction management request for proposal process for the new municipal office library and childcare building in Mount Elgin. As outlined in the report, 7 firms were initially shortlisted and 5 fee proposals were received and evaluated by the senior management team in accordance with the RFP evaluation structure. Based on the review, staff are recommending that Sierra General Contracting or recommending Sierra General Contracting for this proposal as they were the highest ranked proponent through the process. Sierra is locally based firm within Oxford County. They have over 30 years experience delivering municipal and institutional projects across southwestern Ontario. Their proposed approach maintains continuity with the work the township has already completed on concept designs with RWIT's architect, as well as preliminary engineering with SPH Engineering. So this is going to allow the township to continue to build on the work that's already been established rather than restarting the design process. Sierra was the lowest fee submission, and in staff's view, they represent the best overall value to the township. We're confident that Sierra has the capacity and the experience necessary to support council and senior management team through the detailed design process, and then if authorized the construction process for this facility as well. So at this time, staff are looking for council's direction and authorization to negotiate the final terms of the construction management agreement with Sierra. The finalized agreement would then return to council for review and final authorization prior to execution, and then we would move forward with commencing of phase 1, so continuing on with the detailed design phase for the project. Phase 1 is also going to provide council with a Class A construction cost estimate. So this should be within a 5 ± to 10% range for the cost of this facility. And staff would also present to council a proposed financing plan at that time. We anticipate, based on the proposed timeline that Sierra has provided, that we would be bringing this forward to council in August or early September. And they have anticipated a construction timeline of approximately 44 weeks to complete the entire facility, and anticipate with council's approval that we'd be able to start in October of this year. With that summarizes the report. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions from council on this report? Councilor Bushman.
Just wondering, when you get into the construction, is it as completed payments on completed sections, or is it all paid at the end, or is there an upfront payment?
Yeah, some of those details we'll be discussing with Sierra when we're negotiating the final terms of the agreement. We don't actually have those details worked out quite yet. Through this process, though, we will be able to see through each phase and the work that's going ahead, the breakdown of the costs and the tendering that's done for the different sections of the work, which is a main reason why we wanted to move ahead with this delivery approach through construction management, because we are going to have like open book cost transparency. So rather than one large lump sum like we usually see in design build, we're going to be able to see those competitive bid processes throughout the project. And right now, what we're seeing with some of the bids that we've issued already this year is that bids are quite competitive. But exactly when we will make those payments, that will have to be finalized within the term. So we'll have to talk to Sierra about what they've done in the past and how they typically invoice for services and what we reimburse versus what we are billed directly.
So are you suggesting that you have some kind of holdback mechanism to make sure that we get right to the final, as far as, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to sign off and say the building's complete and functional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, a reasonable or significant even holdback is essential. Through that, you know, we're not gonna say, yeah, it's almost there, and we paid them. No, I want it done, and they've signed off on it, and then they pay the last percentage, but I don't know what that percentage is, but it would be sizable in my mind.
That will be included within the agreement.
Just trying to make sure I understand comfortable. Any other comments?
In addition to bonding.
Yeah.
That should be provided for it.
Any other comments on this? Go ahead. Councillor,
This come in a little higher than anticipated, so there is money in the working capital reserve to fund this.
Yes, so the phase one, the detailed design, it is a bit higher, and that's because when we were doing the budget, I based the estimate off of the detailed design, not including the construction management service part of it. So it is a bit higher, with the construction management service included in that, but yes, and we were originally proposing to pay that from working capital reserve, and there is funds there to do that.
good. Any other questions or comments? I don't have any reason not to support Sierra. They've been around a long time, yeah. So where does the work that Walter Fetty did for us, where is that? I mean, is that part of the architecture work, or is it
So.
Sierra involved with that as well?
So Walter Fady's doing the feasibility study and the carbon analysis for the building and the mechanical systems that will be used in the building. And that work is actually expected to be completed within the next week or so.
Okay,
And Walter Fady was able to help us secure funding to pay for that entire study. That's my understanding anyway. But yeah, we should have that information within the next week or so, and then that will feed into the detailed mechanical design.
okay. All right. Any other questions on this? Seeing none, there's a recommendation there, does anyone care to move it? Moved by Brookner, seconded by Way, resolved, Council Johnson, Central Oxford Street, Port C, 14/2026. Construction management services RFP results from municipal office by Ray and Charles, project commission. And further, council authorizes the chief administrative officer to enter into a negotiation with the highest ranked proponent, Sierra General Contracting, to finalize the terms of a CCDC 5B construction management agreement for the project, and that the finalized construction management agreement be brought back to council for review and final authorization projects by the mayor and chief administrative officer. And further, the council authorized commencement of phase one pre-construction detailed design services in the amount of $369 to $315 plus HS2, and further phase one cost to be funded from the township working capital reserve is included in the approved 2026 budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, that's correct. Okay, CO 15.
Thank you, Mayor Mayberry. The purpose of this report is to provide council with follow-up information arising from their discussion on this matter at the last council meeting. At that time, there were a number of questions regarding what a shared fire leadership arrangement between the township of Southwest Oxford and the township of Zora might look like in practice, and how the responsibilities would be divided between a shared fire chief and a shared deputy fire chief. So in response to those questions, the draft agreement that was presented with this report outlines some of those details, and also more clearly outlines the distinction between the two roles. The shared fire chief is intended to focus more on high-level strategic leadership, including overall service oversight, emergency management, responsibilities, policy direction, budget planning, council reporting, and long-term organizational planning. The shared deputy fire chief, on the other hand, would have a stronger operational emphasis, particularly with respect to training, firefighter development, and day-to-day station support, while also providing backup leadership coverage when required, when the fire chief is unavailable. And the intention is that they would back each other up as well. So there would be some redundancy there between both of those roles. The fire chief also at times would back up the deputy fire chief when they're not available. So as mentioned before, the key benefits of this arrangement, as seen by both municipalities, are the redundancy and the structured succession planning. This approach would provide continuity in fire service leadership and reduce the risk of service disruption during absences and future transitions. I also note that exploring the shared administrative leadership option was something that was identified in the fire master plan that we just heard about this morning. And I guess the other thing I will note is just there is a related closed session report on the agenda today that speaks more specifically to recruitment challenges and succession planning considerations, things that we've experienced in the past. So if we're gonna have any detailed conversations about that, I would like to reserve that for a closed session. However, in open session today, we are looking for staff support in principle of the shared arrangement so that we can begin the recruitment process for a shared deputy fire chief. The shared services agreement would then be refined, including the job descriptions and individual employment contracts. The refined and reviewed by legal shared services agreement will come back to council for final authorization to sign. And then also just noting the current arrangement, it is interim in nature, and we do emphasize that it really can only continue for so much longer, without having some additional structured support. So we are looking for some direction on this today. Just so that if council is supportive in principle, then we can continue to refine the details and also start that recruitment process. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Questions from council? Council Group.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I feel this is quite strong and it's probably needed. In the past, when we've had changeover of command with the fire chief, it was always so much time was taken trying to adapt and figure out which direction we were going and things like that. Whereas this, it's gonna be more build upon build. So it's always gonna be smoother sailing than a complete changeover of command. And I really am in favor of this.
I'll just,
Go ahead.
I'll just, that is something that I've heard, both talking to Zora and in the individual conversations that I've had with district chiefs, is that when there is a change in leadership, and which we've had quite a lot of the last several years, it's a big adjustment for the department, and we do hope that this will address that and will help provide some continuity, and also just kind of help build somebody even potentially from within to kind of move into these leadership roles in the future.
Any other questions or comments, Councilor Wade?
Through the mayor, I agree with this whole aspect, but we need to keep in mind, but that there'd be no guarantee that the deputy fire chief will want to move up as well. So that we need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware that, we could create some learning experiences and training sessions for the deputy chief, and then after a while, they move on, because this happens all the time. So, I mean, overall, I think it's a good idea, but there's always potential for setback or disappointment, where you're going. But something we just need to keep in mind.
For sure.
Any comments, Councilor Gillis? You're not
Shoot, I think it's a good idea. I think it's worth trying. I think it's ironic, that we had the presentation this morning that this was kind of mentioned on the fire master plan. And even though when that was in process, we clearly weren't thinking about this at that time. So it's kind of interesting that kind of highlighted, maybe this is an area to look into in the future. And if that's part of that plan, helping guide, in this case, possibly both municipalities and their fire leadership, it's probably a good avenue to take and move forward. But I do agree that obviously, if you do hire a deputy, that doesn't necessarily mean that person will want to become a chief someday. And same fact, if you hire somebody, it doesn't matter where they're from, we should hire the best candidate possible that would work well within both municipalities.
Okay, any other comments? So from a staff and council perspective, I think this makes a lot of sense, and I'm supportive from that perspective. What I'm more interested in or maybe even concerned about is how well does it work for 6 or 7 different departments? Or yes, is there 6 stations altogether then? And the leadership models in each village, because particularly the deputy chief is gonna have to figure out how to get along with 6 district chiefs, right? Because I'm assuming, and if he's operational, he's probably gonna have more of the contact now. And I can get along with 1 or 2 people. I can get along with 1 or 2 people, but once you get more than that, it's more difficult, right? The relationship can be difficult. So that's where I'm wondering about this. And one of the strong suits of persons who's just going to be the knowledge of fire and emergency services, it's going to be relational and how they get along and how they can develop or how they lead in a way that develops people behind them to sort of say, yes, that's the person going forward. So that to me is actually absolutely crucial to this. The overall objective or plan, I think makes perfect sense, and I appreciate staff bringing it forward. So I think, given our history, it probably is a good idea if we can have an overall chief and a deputy chief, and Zora seems interested or willing to go this way as well. So you got a willing partner, maybe it's time to dance. Anyways, okay, anything further on this? Can we have a motion then moved by Gillis, seconded by Williams, all council attention, social doctors to report CEO 15/2026, shared and deputy, draft shared chief, fire chief, and shared deputy fire chief service agreement. Follow up for February 17/2026, council directions information. And further, the council approved in principle the shared fire service leadership model between the township of Southwest Oxford and the township of Zora. And further, the council authorized staff to continue negotiations with the township of Zora to refine the shared service agreement for the final version to be brought back to council for approval, both councils for approval. And further, the council authorized staff to begin the recruitment process for a shared deputy chief position, subject to finalization of the shared services agreement between both municipalities. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's great. Okay, discussion items. Adam, Beachville, Beach Street East, and the answer is?
I met with them on Friday, the residents of concern. They had several concerns, not just road conditions, drainage, snow plowing, that sort of thing. Put them on Daniel as far as drainage goes. He's already spoken with them once before this meeting. Snow plowing got that solved. They do have issues with the gravel portion of the road. It is potholy, but it's the time of year for gravel road. That road does get scheduled for work in 2030 as far as our 10-year capital plan. And I would include that section to be hard surfaced at that time. Beyond that, it is maintained by Zora Township. We have an agreement with them, they do maintain it. I spoke with both their manager of public works and their foreman, and they plan on grading it with the rest of the road there whenever they can. At the time I was there, it was frozen. The week before that, it was just too wet to grade, so kind of just normal for the season. They do have some pretty good drainage concerns there. They're gonna have to take it up with Daniel. It's really nothing that's municipal there either, so it could just be similar.
There's a drainage issue, too much water on the north side and not getting over to the south side, or?
Yeah, some neighbors, I guess, have done some burning, redirected water here and there, so I think that's the main concern. Or one up there.
Okay. Any questions from council on this? Councilor Gills.
So Daniel's not here, but through you, Adam, like, if you, so say it's planned to extend that or do something with that in 2030. Would that be something that we'll have to encourage Daniel to figure out whether we need to do something with drainage before that happens?
Yeah, not to speak for Daniel, but I don't think there's much he can do without an active petition. There's no municipal drain on the north side, so it's gonna be up to the landowners if they wanna get together, sign a petition for drainage work. It's if not, it's a civil petition.
So, following up on that, no way the township then can petition for it.
We could
Yeah.
petition for it under the road section. We could sign it as forced, but technically right now, there's no need for drainage. Roads don't need drainage. We have ditches. We put a cross culvert in, put it on the south side. We don't really have a need for municipal drain, so I don't see why we would sign it.
So is there a culvert there now?
I can't tell if there's one there right now. There has to be something to get to the south side, but everything was all still full of snow when I was there. But I did tell them we were gonna do some ditching there, check their cross culvert in their driveway. And if need be, we could put 1 or 2 cross culverts across that section to get it to the south side.
The other question in the discussion isn't on the agenda, so. A couple meetings ago, Mark Byers had asked about. Us contacting Ministry of Health about, or contacting somebody about, the silica dust.
Yeah.
Have we heard anything back from Public Works, or sorry, Public Health after our meeting with them?
So I said, I did contact them and formally made a request.
Contact them as in
As in, I said.
Public Health?
So it was from Public Health, so Dr. Tran. With some specific questions related to silica dust after our meeting with them.
Good.
And then they just got back to me and asked about a timeline, and I asked if we could have a response by the end of March.
Okay.
And that seemed acceptable to them, so I will let you know once we hear back.
Okay.
They know our first public meeting is anticipated for April.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Mark Byers had asked about whether we're contacting public, or not public health, but administrative health. So I think since this is a prevention protection issue, it actually is public, not administrative, but. Okay,
I didn't contact them.
okay. All right, anything on that? And then we're at consent agenda. We have a motion here. There's a lot of them this week. 29, 30? Go ahead, Councilor.
So, some questions. Not that I'm a member that pays in homers, but just a curiosity sake for members that do, is that a concern that they have? Bringing forward there on some of the motions brought forward.
So. For people who are impacted by owners. The answer to that question is, yes, I do.
So this was talked a lot about at Roma. And hearing from both sides, I'm not of the opinion that this is significant concern to OMERS pension plan members. My understanding is the changes that they're proposing are more in relation to the governance structure, but they are not gonna have a say when it comes to contributions or rates, or pension rates, or impact on pension values. So. And unless there's information that I don't know, and Brooke, I'm not sure if you've heard anything differently. This isn't a huge concern to me at this point, but I know that there are some others that feel like there is no reason to be concerned. I didn't really get that from what I heard at the conference though. From both the province as well as those that had concerns.
Any thoughts, Brooke?
No, same as Julie, I'm not sure, they just continue to say that. I guess they're saying that as members will have less of a voice at the table, is what their argument is. I'm not sure.
Well. It is your pension, I'm sorry, but the council's not gonna get anything out of it, so Councilor Gill.
Well, and saying that, like, I'm not invested in any interest, but we have members of, our township that pay into that pension, so I'm very, if they have concerns, then I have concerns, but if they do not, then I.
Okay. Anything further on consent agenda? We have a motion then to notify 1 to 30, Councilor Wade, seconded by Councilor Gillis. Any discussion? Anything else you want taken out? Or anything you want taken out? Seeing none, sorry, moving seconds with the noting filed, all those in favor? Carried. Accounts payable. So we have a mover and a seconder, moved by Bookner, seconded by Gillis. Resolved that final to approve the payment of accounts payable for February 14th to February 27th, 2026. $224,234.15. Payroll number 4, general $62,622.26. Payroll number 2, council $8,835.70. Payroll number 2, fire $26,866. Police Service Board, $629.04 for a grand total of $322,182.31. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, that's carried. We're now down to bylaws, so. Council, anyone want to declare a conflict of interest here, or continuing interest, so. Council, go ahead and state the nature of your conflict, or conflict, and then you can leave the room.
Oh, leave them, all right. Conflict bylaw 16, obviously I named and I lost with that.
What is the, conflict? By the way, moving a second to the bylaw, when he's not paying any attention. Moved by White, second by Bookner. Any discussion? And none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. And you're back in, bylaw number 17. Oh, wait a minute, do you want to do first, second, and third readings? Is that what you did?
I did, that's how motion reads.
First, second, and third reading, that was your moving motion and seconded?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, now we're down to, bylaw 17, 18, and 19. Oh, no, 17 and 18, can't be 19 that way. Okay, so we can do 17 and 18 together?
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Gillis, second by Booker, bylaw 17 and 18, and reading the video.
Resolved that the following ballot be read first, second, and third time and finally passed, bylaw 17, 2026. Bylaw to amend bylaw 32 of 2021, parkland dedication of campus. And bylaw number 18 of 2026, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 25-98. As amended for zoning file 4-24-10.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Now, bylaw number 19, this is the first and second reading, so moved by Gillis, second by Way, and reading the review.
Resolved that the following bylaws be read first and second time, bylaw 19 of 2026, provisional bylaw for Deer Creek drain.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Any motions or notes to motion? New business?
You had one closed session.
Yeah, the closed session, but, council roundtable. I was gonna say, it's not really a round table, this is called a straight table. And Councilor Way, we'll start with you.
Quiet. Next week is the museum meeting on Wednesday night. Be unable to attend. Other than that, it's pretty quiet.
And Ward 1, Councilor Bruckner.
Week from Wednesday is the Brownsville Home Board, AGM, starting at 6 o'clock. Then the pre-meeting and then the AGM is at 7, so,
The AGM is actually at 7.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, fair.
And I also, received notice that, Catfish, Kettle Creek and, Long Point region have, petitioned for a meeting with the Ministry of, M&R, I think, or whoever's in charge of, the conservation authorities, to, consider, amalgamation of our 3, conservation boards, in lieu of having to join in with, all the large ones from, the new Grand Erie board that they have proposed, so, whereas we all have a rural, background and the way we operate is a lot different than the larger ones that are contained in the big cities are contained in the larger, groups, so hopefully there might be, lesser of 2 evils, put it that way.
Okay, and Ward 6.
Thank you. So Beechwood Parks and Rec had their AGM a week or so ago. Appreciate the mayor and Brooke for coming and hope they had fun.
Always.
As always, snacks, so the mayor loved that. So anyways, out of that meeting, our Easter egg hunt has been finalized. The time is April 4th, 11 till 1 p.m. That's the time this year at the museum grounds. So preparation for that is going to be undertaken here because Easter's coming early this year. So that, yes, the museum board meeting is Wednesday, but the Historic Society's AGM is on Tuesday, next Tuesday, I believe, at 6 p.m. So if anybody wants to become a Historic Society member and join that and come to the meeting, feel free. And other than that, that's pretty much all.
Didn't have anything I was gonna report other than what was in the, not council report, so I'll leave that. Going to close session. So, motion to go into closed session, moved by legislator, Dave Burkner. I was going to motion to do that.
The council move into closed session. At 1:11, section 239(2) E of the Municipal Act in order to discuss matters. Matters of that individual, including the other states. Brochure version.
And CAO. CAO. No, it's a separate.